I once read that the greatest miracle Jesus ever performed was having 12 close friends in his 30s. I have since crossed into my 40s, and I will tell you it does not get easier. But I do have one best friend I've known since elementary school. Her name is Katie. The only problem is she lives in Maryland, and I live in Austin. But we do a lot of girls' trips. In fact, she flew to Austin and came with me tonight to hear me tell the story. Hi, Katie. The year we turned 30, Katie and I decided to meet at Jazz Fest in New Orleans. If you're not familiar, it's kind of like ACL, but with a gospel tent and a Cajun dance party. At the time, my husband and I were thinking about having kids. So this trip to Jazz Fest kind of felt like a last hurrah. So I packed all my sexy tank tops, I painted my nails, I whitened my teeth, I cleaned my jewelry. Like, I was ready to have the kind of weekend we'd still be talking about a decade later. So I fly to New Orleans, and I meet Katie at the hotel. We always share a room because we've been having sleepovers since we were 8 years old. Why stop now? And it's Friday. We have weekend passes. So we slather ourselves in sunscreen, and we pick up 2 camping chairs from Rite Aid, and we hop on the shuttle, and we're off to the festival. When we get there, it's the first day. The sun is out. You can smell the crawfish Monica. There are great bands already playing. We're having a blast. And later that afternoon, we're watching Mumford & Sons do their set, and I reapply my sunscreen like my dermatologist told me to. But I had just painstakingly cleaned my wedding rings with a spare toothbrush and some dish soap. And God forbid I get a smudge of sunscreen on my diamond ring. So I take off my rings, and I put them in my lap. And while I'm sunscreening, a college friend who I wasn't expecting to see comes up behind me and surprises me. I stand up, I give her a big hug, we dance for a few songs, Katie and I pack up our chairs, and I walk away. It's not until later that I notice I'm not wearing my wedding rings, but I remember taking them off in the hotel, so that's where they are. I'm sure that's where they are. It's not until much later that I'm looking at my bare fingers, and it's sort of like when your body knows that something terrible has happened, but your brain just isn't willing to accept it yet. So like I'm a little on edge the rest of the night, but I'm sure they're at the hotel. So we stay till the very end of the night. We wait in a very long taxi line. We go all the way back downtown to our hotel, and I realize my rings are not there. And of course, that's when I remember taking them off during the Mumford & Sons set. So I look at Katie, and I tell her I'm going back to look for them. And she says, okay, I'm coming with you. And at this point, it's almost 11 o'clock, and the festival has been over for a couple hours. The cab driver thinks we're insane, but he drops us off, and it is deserted. The fairgrounds, there's not a soul there. And it is just an ocean of trash, just like as far as the eye can see. So Katie and I go to the stage where Mumford & Sons played, and we go to the spot where we were sitting, give or take 50 feet in all directions. And we get down and start crawling through the trash with our bare hands. And they have these big spotlights on. So some places you can see, but then there are these dark patches where you can just feel the half-eaten poor boys and the daiquiri cups and the sucked-out crawfish heads. And we do this for about half an hour until the cleaning crew comes with these big Zamboni-looking machines, and they start bulldozing all the trash. So Katie tells me it is not safe for us to be there, 2 women in our sexy tank tops all alone. So she drags me away. And at this point, I am distraught, I am dirty, and I have to tell my husband that I lost not one, but both of my wedding rings. My engagement ring that he picked out and surprised me with, and the wedding band that he slid on my finger during our ceremony while saying the words, "I give you this ring as a reminder that I love you every day of your life." Sweet. And what did I do with it? I drop it in a field like it was an empty beer can. So Katie takes me out to the French Quarter to cry over hurricanes like any good friend would. And thankfully, the rings were insured, but I am very upset about the sentimental value. That engagement ring was the nicest and most meaningful gift my husband had ever given me. Gifts are not his love language. The first Christmas we were together, he gave me an umbrella. Why couldn't I have lost that instead? As hard as I try to misplace that thing, it keeps popping up in random places. But Katie tells me, the rings are just things. It's sad, yes, but they don't really matter. And I say, yeah, but this was the thing I would have worn my entire life and passed down to my grandchildren. And she says, no, it's the people we love, not the rings on our finger that matter. Blah, blah. I am not buying it. The next day, we go back to Jazz Fest, and I can't have fun or enjoy the festival because I'm still so upset about my rings. So I go by Lost and Found, even though I know it's hopeless. And this woman grabs both of my hands and says to me, "Honey, we have them. Someone turned them in yesterday. They're at the police station." Wow. And I am overjoyed. I want to give a big fat reward to the person who turned them in. And all she'd written down was Mike, the most generic name ever. He found them just sitting in the grass. So thank you, Mike, if you're out there. And I go and I tell Katie, and the two of us get a cab. We go down to the police station, and I get my rings back. Yes. Fast forward, I'm now 38. I have two girls, aged 2 and 6. Life is busy and wonderful. It's 2019. What could go wrong? And out of nowhere, I am diagnosed with highly aggressive stage 3 breast cancer. I know, I didn't see it coming either. I had no family history. I ate kale. I was like 80% vegetarian. Like I should have been, I don't know. Well, anyway. So my oncologist starts me on the strongest chemo they have. It's called the Red Devil. It's the color of cherry Kool-Aid, and it turns your urine that same color and also your tears. So try telling your kids that mommy's going to be just fine with what looks like blood streaming out of your eyes. I obviously had a lot going on, but it was the 50th anniversary of Jazz Fest, and there were some really good headliners. So Katie and I decide we're going to go. Now, my chemo is every Wednesday. Like, I can squeeze in a long weekend. So Katie and I, we get our tickets, and this time while I'm packing, I don't bother cleaning my rings or whitening my teeth or painting my nails. I have no hair, no eyelashes, no eyebrows, but I do pack my most fashionable headscarf, the one my husband says makes me look like a gypsy, and my comfy baseball hat with the fake blonde hair attached. And I fly down to New Orleans, meet Katie at the hotel. We have weekend passes. We go to the festival. It's a little bit different this year. There are no hurricanes, for example. I have to sit down and I have to hydrate a lot. But Katie and I have fun no matter what. And that first night, we watched Diana Ross do her set. It was incredible. She had 5 costume changes. And towards the end of the set, while wearing this beautiful gold ball gown, she does a reprise of Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. A little on the nose given my situation, but standing there in that crowd with my best friend belting out these lyrics, Katie's advice from years prior started to sink in just a little bit. I look down at my rings and I think, the rings are just things. They really don't matter. What matters are the people who would get down on their hands and knees and dig through the most vile festival trash for you without hesitation or complaint. And when I'm feeling lost, those are the people who make me feel found. So thank you.